You know, when I started this show, it was called Diary of a Cartoonist. And the reason I did that is because at the time, the plan was I was going to talk a bunch about web comics and art and, you know, that sort of thing. And it occurs to me today, I'm sitting here in the year of our Lord 2025 questioning what a comic even is now. Not a comic book. I know what that is, right? That's obvious. What is a comic strip? Is it still the classic form? Semi-classic. I mean, I say classic. It's only really as old as newspapers, but you know, 3-4 panels, left to right, short joke / story. Sometimes black and white, sometimes color. Bip, bip, bip. That's your comic. So think, you know, Calvin and Hobbes or BC or, you know, that stuff. Far Side was, you know, great, but it was single panel. But same thing applies. Like that format, when the web happened, it made sense. It was like, yeah, man, make your own website, have your own comic. There were some tools available, although not many, but there were some where you could go and create a bit of an archive and people could go forward and back and that sort of thing and have a place to go look at your strips. And the format would continue in papers, of course, to some degree, although it's all very different now. But nowadays, like the big repository for quote unquote webcomics online is webtoons.com, which sounds like a place that would house the stuff I'm describing. But I'd swear 98% of that site is all vertical scrolling, non-traditional, very non-traditional formatted, and also all sort of manga anime adjacent stuff, right? It's like romance stories and, you know, whatever. It obviously has its audience. It's massive, and that's great. Congrats to them and everybody who wants that. But I struggle because that isn't really conducive to the kind of comic strips I make. If you guys have seen my Fred and Ken strip, every time I go to make one of those, I go, who am I making this for, first of all? Who is still consuming them in this way? Panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, ha ha ha, move on. Like it sort of always felt like a format that would never not be around. We would always have it. But I'm not so sure anymore that that's true. And it's a little bit of an I ran into an existential wall of sorts where I said, well, then what are we doing? What is this? What is the form? What is the art form? Is there one anymore? Or is it just either it's hanging by a thread or has been for a couple, decades and I just didn't notice, or I just haven't been willing to think about it in that way or something. I don't know. I'm hitting a weird wall on this. And I figure some of you guys may have something to say about it. I know it's usually a lot more personal stuff on the show, but today it's back to its roots. And I am having an existential, not crisis, but Q&A with myself. For lack of, I have to sneeze. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay. Excuse me. Anyway, this conversation about, what is it then? Do I even want to do it? Because in the past, I love doing it. And in theory, I love doing it now. But I noticed that, and this is a trend kind of everywhere. I've got friends who still do regular strips, but they say the same thing. They say to me, this is, I don't know what this is anymore. Or the kind of similar questions, right? About what the future of it is, or even what the present of it is. And these things evolve. Like if there's anything I've ever learned about, analog or digital art distribution, is that things change, and they change sometimes drastically, and you either keep up or you don't. And it's okay. You can stay with what you know, right? You can stay with what you love. There are people making big, giant canvas paintings and selling them at galleries and having showings, and that old school way is still a thing. There's still a path there. But in the digital space, things change much faster. And while the Web 1.0 era made the most sense for the form I'm talking about, because, back then it was just, you have a website with stuff on it. And then the Web 2.0 or social web comes along and says, yeah, maybe you just have everything on it. Maybe you come to a platform like us here at whatever we are, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and you just post stuff there. Maybe that's where people put their comics. And it's true, some do. But then it starts to muddy the water. Do you keep having a website to refer back to, but also you pump it out on these other channels to show that you have this on so it's discoverable or shareable or retweetable or whatever. And then people can see it and go, oh, there's a link, and I can go back to see where the site is. And then we now are entering a phase that's even more different than that. You can quite literally sit down in front of your computer screen and go, computer, kind of Star Trek style, make me a 4-panel comic strip in the style of so-and-so with the joke style of so-and-so. And then iterate on that till it's something you're happy with. And bam, you're suddenly, you think you're a cartoonist, and now you don't, who cares what actual, you know what I mean? Like, I know that's not everybody, but there's like a little bit of that in there. So it muddies the water. And now I'm being asked to just keep deciding, am I drinking this water? Am I contributing to it? Am I going to try to pour pure water into it, even though I can see it's muddy at the other end of the pool? And does anyone actually give a crap? And that's really the main thing, right? Who are we doing it for? And more importantly, who am I doing it for? Am I drawing this stuff for the pure joy of it? Or is my goal to entertain people with the art or with the ideas or the concepts or whatever? I mean, I think it can be both, and I think that's what it has been for me, is both. But I just I'm re-asking the questions. Who is this for? Why am I doing it? It's no longer like, if you look at Penny Arcade, if those guys were to start today, they're done. This doesn't go very far. It doesn't go very far at all. They got in at a time where it was the perfect combination of timing, what they were covering, and the growth of those early days of the internet, and the classic form worked. It's what they did, and still do. And then now it's parlayed into a bunch of other stuff so that it's all kind of, it's all sort of standing up. But had they not like expanded to do all the other stuff they do, including PAX and everything, I don't, is it even relevant? I mean, outside of the circles I'm in where we think it's relevant, is it relevant in the larger picture? And therefore, is anything anyone's doing relevant? Does it matter? Does anyone care that we have this part of our voice? I don't know why I'm hitting this wall. I just am. I'll admit there's a lot going on right now. And maybe I'm just conflating it all, and it's just making things needlessly negatively tinged. Or it's just making me question everything. This stuff with my mom's a huge mess right now. Right this minute, my wife is still over with my mom. She was overnight with her, watching her because her husband, John, dude he married after my dad died, had a brain bleed and biffed it down some stairs. And now he's in the hospital. And while he's now awake and claiming that everything's fine and he's coming home and it's all back to normal, I don't know how that's possible. And their doctors are like, yeah, no, he's not doing this. He's not caring for another person, and he's not going to even be able to walk. So I don't know why he's saying that. So now we got all these legal questions, and then who's really in charge of my mom's healthcare, and when does power of attorney kick in for those who are, blah, 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 right? There's this whole mess going on with that. On top of that, I am full bore working on Nerdtacular next year, and I'm super stoked about it. Like, I'm jazzed to see all of you. I'm jazzed to do it again. It may or may not be the final one, so I want to make it great so that if it is, it's just an all-timer. And I want to make it fun for everybody who's a listener or a part of the community in some way. And I want to make it great for your spouses and partners who maybe don't understand this this side of your life and why they're interested in this community. I want that to be great. I want kids to be able to come, and I want parents to be comfortable with those kids there, because we want to make it a family-friendly event. I want people to feel safe. I want there to be just an amazing sense of community and fun and laughter and friendship, and just all of those things are really, I'm super jazzed to be all about that and to work toward this. However, I'm feeling the responsibility of it, which is normal. I'm feeling the financial responsibility of it, which is higher than ever. But, again, you got to take risks to make things work. This is not a profit-centered idea. It never has been. Nerdtacular was always just like, I want to make this affordable for everybody coming, and I want to make it really, I don't want a lot of barriers to entry. And part of that is, okay, well, we're not in this for we're not trying to make a big paycheck on this, not even close. If I break even, I'm happy. But it's a little weird right now because, we're weird right now with Trump and everything. It's weird, okay? Even if you support him, you can't deny it's not weird. And so that desire for me for wanting people to feel included and safe and welcome is also fueled greatly by this desire to go against what seems to be where we're headed. Right? And I got a year to make it work and make it right and give us an escape from all this for a bit, and have it be a really personal one. People meeting people. I don't know. I don't know why I'm over explaining that. You know what this is all about. So there are days now where I'm just like, oh my gosh, should I just sit on the couch and pet the dog? Or should I, do you know what I mean? Like, I kind of need a bit of an escape of some sort that isn't my usual ways of escaping or my usual ways of decompressing. Not sure what that is. Some would say, oh, you just need a long vacation. No, those just stress me out. I the whole time I worry about everything. And then when I get back, I'm like, I gotta do it. That's not the same. I don't know what it is I need. But this cartoonist thing really in my craw today. And look, if I've been anything in my, whatever this career is, if I've been anything, it's flexible as to the way the winds blow. If something's going a certain way and I want to, keep things relevant for the audience, then I go there, as best I can. This is true of anybody in their life I'm sure probably people listening to this are like, oh, this is a lot like that time at my job when they replaced an entire department with a machine. And, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's just there's a feeling of encroachment right now. And that sometimes it feels like 5 different big, giant corporations are trying to have their hand in everything so that you don't really control anything. You know what I mean? I know that's dark and dystopic, and it's a lot like a lot of novels I've read. But, there's just this feeling, and lately I just can't shake it. And it's not like a doom doom scrolly thing. I'm avoiding news. I'm trying to, focus on the creative and the work that I have and stuff like that. But there's still some feeling of not doom. I don't know what it is. That this is the wrong direction. This just isn't good for people. I used to think the information age meant that it would democratize everything. It opens everything up. So everybody from the rich and powerful down to the somebody with an internet connection, they all have this access to information, and therefore you can't keep a shroud over the large swaths of people. But what I didn't count on, and probably should have, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, but what I didn't count on is the ability for those in power, typically people without much of a conscience, will find a way. And they've found complex mathematical methods of suppression, of convincing people of certain things. Like, they've figured out a way to do it. And it's a death by 1,000 cuts. It's like, well, how long has Google been tracking everything you do online because they're tracking you for ads? Well, you might be able to blow that off and just go, well, I don't care. It's just ads. Then, what do I have to hide? Whatever. And then you realize later on, you're like, oh, but that opened the door to this. And then that opened the door to this. And it's not me being paranoid. I'm not. I'm out there, man. I'm in the world. It's what I am. But at what point did we just give away all our own possible control? The beauty of the early web was we would control our destiny on it. Very little of it had to be mandated for us. It was an open place where even if you lived in a part of the world that restricted your access to it, you could find ways around it, and the individual could win. And now I don't know. Like, we handed everything over and said, hey, instead of us doing the work to make our corner of the internet interesting, we'll just all flock to somebody's platform and make them billionaires. And that's where we'll be. And we'll act like that's our public square, quote unquote. I freaking hate that term. It's such horseshit. Public squares are, by definition, owned by the public. None of these are public squares. None of them. I don't care who they are or if they claim to be. But we just kind of handed that over, right? But again, it was in little phases, little bits, little moments that we did that. Another cut toward the death, right? And then we're really in the middle of it now. We have, machine learning that is getting so good that it's going to, whether you like it or not, it's here. It will get more efficient, and that means more power efficient. So a lot of the objections people have about LLMs and some of these larger AI companies, those issues are becoming non-issues because we're catching up with the efficiency, like we did with the web and server needs and infrastructure. That's usually the way that these things go. All of that aside, though, for a second, from a moral and ethical standpoint, we're getting to a place where we're going to have to start deciding individually and then as groups and as companies and everything else, what are we willing to not do as people that we used to have done for millions of years, and we're just not going to do that anymore. We're going to let machines do it, and you don't control that machine. The beauty of the web in the early days is you controlled the computer you ran, and you could very well control the server you ran your website on. But even if you didn't, it was open and available, and you could move it, and you could do whatever you want with it. You had all these levels of control over what your footprint was. But this future we're quote unquote building is in the hands of like 5 people with massive resources, and we're all beholden to that, 100% beholden to it. And you could say, Scott, well, that's how it is with like electricity or any other major innovation in human history is controlled by the few, because someone will get in on it early, capitalize on it, and bam, they're done. They're in, right? Across cultures, across nations, this is nothing new. And to a big degree, you're right, but I'm not sure it's ever been this massive. The other issue is if we build a societal dependency on what I'm talking about, and we've already done that in a lot of other ways. I mean, who's hunting for their own food? What, one guy out of 1,000? What was it before industrialization and everything else? Probably 800 out of 1,000 had to hunt for their own food. You understand what I'm saying? I know there's a lot of other factors. I'm oversimplifying, but my point is, like, nobody does that now. We don't know how to self-sustain in that way. Nobody's growing gardens like they used to. There are people who are trying to. There are people who do it because they love it. There are people who do it because they think there should be skills retained. But it's a tiny percentage. Most of us would rather go to the store and just conveniently grab the stuff that otherwise we'd never have access to. And then we're willing to pay too much for it and then pay more for it because of inflation and all these other things. Like we get stuck in these loops where we think we have control. That store's close to me. It's convenient. I got a raise. Like, all that stuff seems like great. Go to that store and buy some stuff. But what if one of those goes poof? What are you going to do? This is the existential part. I can't believe this started with a comic strip, but it is kind of where it's led my brain. And I'm fully willing to admit that this could just be me at a stage of my life where this is stuff you think about. Okay, we all have them. There are various stages in your life where you go down certain rabbit holes, I suppose, mentally. And maybe this is just my time, and that's okay. There are 10-year-olds out there having the time of their life. They have no idea about any of this. Just like when I was 10, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know about the Iran hostages. I didn't know what was happening with the gas crisis of the 70s. I didn't understand how significant it was that there were Tylenol murders when I was 12 or 13, whatever I was, 11. You know what I mean? I was busy being a kid, doing kid things, doing like you're supposed to do. Or like, I don't know if you're supposed to do, it's what kids do. And even when I first got married, when we started having kids, when we were young and, young parents anyway, having young kids, that was our focus. So I wasn't worried about what Bill Clinton did or didn't do. I wasn't worried about how many hanging chads they found in Florida with the Bush Gore thing. I mean, I knew about these things, but they weren't a huge, giant deal to me. I was focused inward and on what was in front of me. And there's this thing as you get older, you start to that broadens out, I guess, and you just start thinking about more of it. And you have some choices along the way. It's like, well, do I buckle down and turn into there's too much change. I know back in my day, that thing. And then you're really hard to get along with. Or you kind of a-hole, do you do that? Dig yourself in a corner and hold your stance, hold your ground? Or do you recognize changes for what they are and adapt and try to maintain what's important to you, but also, know that society changes and you have to adapt to it? Like, I don't know, man. I just know if we give ourselves over completely to machine learning, which is cool and has some really rad stuff around it, but if we give ourselves over to it, it's not a science fiction idea. You give yourselves over to it, we will not then have the skills or wherewithal to do any of that when it's pulled away, taken away, restricted, or otherwise held over our heads as a way of keeping people in line or whatever it is. That's my worry. That's how you handle a information age where people are, countries are smaller than ever. We know how to get everywhere we need to go. It's not a 3-month trip of dysentery and scurvy on a ship to get anywhere, where you're probably got an 80% chance of dying before you get there. We don't do that anymore. I thought that was going to be liberating. It would lead us to a more enlightened state of humanity. But what it's done instead is just broadened the tactics to control people. And I just feel like we're entering a phase of that is just, and part of it's paranoia about the moves and stuff going on in our damned government. It's hard to ignore it. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what I really want. What I really, really want. I want to focus on 3 things in my life. These are the 4 things I want to focus on. 4 things. I sound like the Spanish Inquisition here in the Monty Python skit. 5 things. No, just kidding. 4 things. My immediate family, my wife, my children, their children, eventually their children, like this group of individuals that I have the most impact, the most influence with, and the most time with. They're the people I'm the most interested in being with and around and protecting and working with and, being a part of their lives. That's number 1 for me. Number 2 is this community around the Frog Pants stuff. Which is a weird thing for some people to hear, but it really is like second family for me. And I want that to not only continue to grow and maintain, but I want it to be the most possible fun, safe, happy, nerdiest, geekiest place that you could ever have friends. I want it to be the best Discord on the planet. I want it to be, if you don't know what Discord is, it sounds weird, doesn't it? Most of you do. I want it to be the place everybody feels safe all the time. I don't care who you are, where you come from. If you come in there and you are of like mind when it comes to community building and not there to tear things down or to make life hard for somebody, those people can F right off. But everybody else, you're welcome. I want you to be safe there. I want you to be happy there. And I want to know you like on a personal level. Like I want all that to grow and to be rad. So that's priority number 2 for me. Priority number 3 is to maintain some level of passion for these art forms that I'm a little worried about. I want to stay passionate about, frankly, I just want to stay passionate about drawing, about art, about creating visual art. I want that to be special to me, regardless of what the rest of the world may do with it. And that's really up to me. So I'm going to work on that. And then the 4th thing, is there a 4th thing? What is the 4th thing? Oh, the 4th thing. Duh. The 4th thing is podcasting. You can call it whatever you want, but these mediums where I can have a voice and we can talk back and forth and we can share ideas, we can disagree, we can come to understandings of each other, like that all of that is really, really important for me to just not just maintain it, but to refine it and make it a place that's great. Like there's so much that operates on the market of negativity. And I just can't do it. Like what you're hearing today on this episode is about as negative as I'm ever going to get, right? Or that I want to get. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be shock value gets hits and views. I don't want to feed algorithms that champion outrage, shock, discontent, judgment. And I know that by saying that and doing that and not going that direction, I know that puts me at a disadvantage. That's not the moneymaker right now. The moneymaker is abject negativity. And even just like bald-faced lying is fine, because if you find that audience, they'll grow and they'll pay you for some reason. And I don't think it's a happy place. I don't think it's a particularly friendly place. I don't think that it's filled with moments of joy. I have a feeling it's just nothing but misery makes money in our outrage economy, online in particular. And I can't do it. I just cannot do it. There have been times where I went, well, what if I just, I can't do it. I would rather do whatever hard work it is it's already hard. I'm not some like 20-year comedian that worked in TV and brought his audience and said, hey, I made a podcast. It's like we invented the medium suddenly. You know what I mean? And I brought 30 million viewers with me. I don't have that option. That's not available to me. My options were to start years and years and years ago and build it organically and grassroots style. That's the way it was. That's the way it is for me. And that's the way I like it. And I don't need it to be the biggest thing in the world. I just want it to be cool. And I want others who like that, who appreciate the fact that we're not digging mud and throwing it at each other. I want them to find it. That's the hard part. There's plenty of you now, but if we want to find more people like us, do you know how hard it is to get your voice heard in this world now? If you want to start anything now, my gosh, dude. Like, I'm lucky to have had an audience I've been able to carry and add more people as we go, but carry a sizable audience through the years. And I was lucky enough to start early when nobody was doing it. And that's a huge benefit to me, and I hope I never forget it. But starting today, I don't even know what you'd do. You'd probably do what a lot of people have to do. They either go for that negativity I was talking about, or you go porn adjacent, young, hot people making content that's designed to titillate and get you over to their OnlyFans or whatever. Like this stuff, the algorithms and the platforms favor everything I just said over, hey, these nerd guys talking about movies. They're not promoting that. It's partly our fault. By us, I mean the royal us. Like we don't, what's the word? We don't prop up just good stuff anymore simply because it's good. There's so much noise, so much link bait, so much garbage, and it's everything. Reputable news sources that you used to be able to rely on are now just clickbait because they have to compete in this market of clickbait. So of course they do. I don't even blame them. They got mouths to feed and companies to keep open. And if they don't follow that's the hard part. I just can't do it. I can't do it. This is funny. I'm like sitting here saying, well, what areas could you do that wouldn't be that bad? Right? But it's all bad. I don't want to feed that. And I know that it's not like I'm going to say, oh, you guys in 5 years, you'll see I was right. Probably not. Probably in 5 years, it'll be worse. I don't know. Well, I've talked your ears off long enough. Sorry, this was a long one. My apologies. My wife's on her way. I'm going to take her out tonight because she's been there for 24 hours or no, more than that, 30-something hours, just watching my mom, feeding her, working with the nurses and stuff. She needs some time off. And she's only really, I would be doing it if I didn't have to work. But because she can do it, she's doing it. Same with my sister. But my mom in this situation, they'd live 45 minutes away, 35 to 45, depending on traffic. And so it's not a simple thing to just go there any second, to drop everything and go. So I don't know what we're going to do for the next few days while we deal with this John stroke and everything. We're probably going to we got to figure something out. So I got some immediate stuff to worry about. And then I got all this esoteric stuff that's just out there floating, And I'm fine. I'm doing all right. Again, the priorities are pretty well in place, especially the family thing. I couldn't be happier with everybody. Everybody loves each other. We're all hanging out. We all provide the support we need for each other. I'm not worried about that. And I'm not even talking about extended family. I just mean, me, Kim, Taylor, Carter, Nick's wife, B, Taylor's husband, Dylan, the babies, Phoebe, Van, and Ramona. Like, that's it. That is all I really need in a room. Everything else could fall away. This is the one thing the thing that does keep me in a sane place, I think. is I know that no matter what else happens out of my control, government, billionaires, corporations, the internet, the platforms thereof, all that all could explode in a huge diarrhea cloud, and I would have these people. And then bonus, I would also have you guys. The community at large is just, you're right next to this in terms of what's important to me. I hope you guys know that. Anyway, thank you for listening. Send your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. You can find all the ways to contact me on the site, frogpants.com/diary. Anywhere on the Frog Pants site will have ways to contact me. So please do, and I would love to hear from you. That'll do it for me. We'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.